Marc Kenneally 26.3 Part 2. Results, so that's up here. The group of participants all collected their data and entered it into an online spreadsheet. When looking at certain individuals, suggestions can be made how to improve their score and link it to their sport or health. The participant that will be analysed is participant J. They're a 17-year-old male athlete who has a mass of 82 kilograms and a height of 197 centimetres. They have a resting heart rate score of 50 beats per minute. When they completed the Queen's College step test, they achieved a 15-second recovery heart rate of 25 beats per minute. The researcher then entered their recovery heart rate into an online equation and as a result gained a VO2MAX score of 69 millilitres over kg per minute. When the same participant carried out the multi-stage fitness test, they obtained a shuttle score of 10. This then enabled the researcher to enter this score onto a table online. The table gave the participant an overall VO2MAX score of 58 millilitres over kilograms per minute. This would mean the participant got two different VO2MAX scores by using two different tests. When looking at the table that was previously used to demonstrate the scores of elite performers in their sport, so that's this one, it can be deducted that these are the optimal and ideal VO2MAX scores for each sport, and these are the scores which performers should aim to achieve if they take part in the sport. The participants' scores achieved in the test can now be compared to the scores of the elite performers. As their chosen sport is basketball, they will be compared to the optimal basketball VO2MAX score. We can also look at the recommended score for the general population to see whether the participant is deemed healthy or not based on their VO2MAX score. The average male between the ages of 10 and 19 has a VO2MAX score of 47 to 56, however the participant obtained a score of 58 in the multi-stage fitness test and a score of 69 in the Queen's College step test. This should indicate that their VO2MAX score for the multi-stage fitness test is within both the average score for a male and the optimum score for a basketball player, as this is between 40 and 60. As well as the score that they obtained for the Queen's College step test exceeds both of these recommended scores. As both of the performers' test scores were either above or within the average or optimum score for their sport, they shouldn't experience any limitations in their performance as a result of their VO2MAX score, and therefore wouldn't have to make any drastic changes in their lifestyle or be prescribed any exercises to improve their score. However, they should still have exercises to complete in order to maintain their high VO2MAX level. The table here shows the average score compared to their multi-stage fitness test score, compared to their Queen's College step test score, and finally the average basketball player score. So that gives you a nice representation of it. The first exercise I would prescribe them to do is carry out a 5k run twice a week, preferably at the start and end of the week, so they have more time to recover in between. For example, if they go for a run on Monday, they should go for a run on Thursday, as this would give them Tuesday and Wednesday to recover from the Monday activity. They would then have Friday, Saturday and Sunday to recover from the Thursday activity. This would engage their aerobic respiration system and would also take the performer around 20 minutes to complete, as they should aim to not go over 23 minutes for a 5k run. The second activity I would prescribe would be a 30-minute cycle on Sunday, as this shouldn't make them too tired for the run on Monday, and it would engage their aerobic respiratory system again. By completing these activities, they'll be taking part in 3 activities at least per week, which would collectively take 76 minutes, which is not a lot of time over the course of a week, and they would be rewarded by maintaining their VO2MAX score. The activities wouldn't take too much of their time, and they're to be able to do what they like outside of the activities. If the performer didn't keep up maintaining their VO2MAX score, they may experience limitations in their sport, such as running out of breath quicker in the activity. They would also feel more fatigued, and as a result, their performance may decrease, and as their techniques won't be carried out as well as they usually are. So as they're a basketball player, this may mean defenders would be able to steal the ball off them easier, and they might not be able to shoot as well as they were earlier in the game due to being fatigued. When looking at both of the VO2max scores, it's clear that the multi-stage fitness test score of 69 is greater than the Queen's College step test of 58. This may be due to a number of reasons, including the testing, the researcher, or the participants' previous activities. There was a large change in the scores obtained by the same participant. This could suggest that one of the tests isn't as valid as the other. The reason for the validity of the test being lower could be due to the researcher not carrying out the test correctly or not knowing the correct procedures of the test. Another reason could be that the performer could have taken part in activity already that day, and the testing might not be able to reach their maximum score in the multi-stage fitness test, as they may be fatigued from the previous activity. So now we're up to discussion. When looking at the results of the whole group, it is clear that there are some outliers. So there's one here. However, the majority of the results fall in the same area, which is here. There are still certain performers' results which are outliers compared to the other results. The graph as a whole shows a strong positive correlation, and the R-square value is of 0.38, which suggests 38% of results can be correctly accounted for using the line of best fit. So that's here. Therefore, it can be deducted that 38% of the results collected by the researchers have positive correlation between the result the participant got from their multi-stage fitness test and the result they get from their Queen's College step test. The residual of the results can also show how far away the results are from and how far they vary from the line of best fit. So this has a big residual, but this one has a small residual. In this situation, the residual of the results is 20, whereas the regression is only 1. This would suggest that that under half the results match the trend of the line of best fit suggested by the R-square value. However, the results have a high variation from the midline. This could suggest that some of the results are very high and others are very low. They should also take into consideration the gender of the participants, as multiple members of the study were female and others were male. Therefore, they may achieve different results compared to the opposite gender in the class, and this may affect the results. The typical trend of the data suggested that the multi-stage fitness test score increases, so does the Queen's College step test. This would leave the class with positive correlation in the results and would suggest that both the tests measure the VO2max of the performer, as well as they both give high or low scores depending on whether the performer had a high score or a low VO2max score. So if the performer had a high VO2max, both of the tests would give them a high score, and if they had a low one, both the tests would give them a low score. According to a study carried out by Cooper in 2005, who carried out a test to measure the repeatability of the multi-stage fitness test and the validity of the test, they said the test routinely underestimates the VO2max when compared to laboratory determinations. They then went on to say, unlike previous findings, however, these results showed that when applying an arguably more appropriate analysis method, the multi-stage fitness test does not provide valid predictions of VO2max. This means they concluded their findings that the multi-stage fitness test has a low validity compared to other tests, as it doesn't actually accurately measure the VO2max of the performer, and therefore suggest other methods should be used instead in order to determine a performer's VO2max score. However, they did conclude that the test can routinely be repeated. The test was later backed up by Castagna et al. In 2010. They investigated the validity and reliability of the multi-stage fitness test in young women's soccer players, and they compared it to the results of the gas analysis test carried out by the same participants. They concluded that the study results showed that the multi-stage fitness test predicting nomogram significantly underestimated VO2 peak, and said that the average difference being in order of 23% of the estimated value. They then said they considered it an indirect measure of individual VO2max in young women soccer players. Chatterjee in 2005 carried out a study on young female students using the Queen's College step test and studied the validity of that test. They used a direct measurement to measure the female's VO2MAX, and then carried out the indirect method of the Queen's College step test to see whether the results matched or were different. The results came back and suggested that, our results suggest that the Queen's College step test in its original form cannot be applied to due to its poor agreement with the direct method, but can be applied with the modified equation in this population to evaluate maximum oxygen uptake, especially when large numbers of participants are to be tested in absence of a well-equipped laboratory. When looking at strengths and weaknesses of the test, it is clear to see that the multi-stage fitness tests have significantly more factors that could go wrong in terms of testing VO2max results compared to the Queen's College step test. The first weakness is that the multi-stage fitness test is a maximal test and therefore relies on the performer dropping out of the test when they are physically exhausted and not due to the other factors such as boredom or not being motivated. The performer could be participating on their own and may not get as high as a score as if they were taking part with other people, because they might not have anyone else to compete against. This being said, they may get bored and drop out when they want to instead of when they need to. By doing this, the test is unable to see the maximum amount of oxygen the performer is able to utilise, and therefore won't be able to give an accurate representation of their VO2max score. However, the strengths of this test are that it is easy to set up, it is cheap, and it only needs cones, a CD player, and a track with the multi-stage fitness test on it. Another positive is that it can be adapted to certain surfaces. For example, if you're testing basketball players, they can wear their basketball shoes and carry out the testing on a basketball court, so it's ecologically valid. It can also be carried out inside and outside in all weathers, which is another positive. However, the main limitation is it does rely on the performer working until physical exhaustion, not other factors. The Queen's College step test also has strengths and weaknesses. It doesn't require a lot of equipment to set up, and the researcher doesn't need to be trained in order to carry out the test. Another positive of the test is that it doesn't rely on the performer to reach physical exhaustion, and is a submaximal test. However, a limitation of the test is that the participant may feel uncomfortable having their pulse being measured by the researcher. However, if they do it themselves, it is open to being biased and affecting the results of the test. Another positive of this test is that it doesn't require a lot of time, whereas the multi-stage fitness test can typically require a fairly long period of time. However, this test would only take 3 minutes to carry out and would be fairly cheap, as the only equipment needed is the step and the CD player. However, another limitation of the test is that the height of the step needs to be the same for everyone else. Otherwise, they may not step high enough, or they may step too high, and this would affect the results. When taking into account all of the studies and analysing the strengths and weaknesses of the two tests, I conclude that the multi-stage fitness test and the Queen's College step test are both tests with low validity, but both have a high repeatability and can be carried out the same way multiple times. I also conclude that the test could be used by certain participants to measure improvements in health or fitness and to give them a rough idea of their VO2max score. However, they aren't as reliable as direct measures and can't be solely used to determine somebody's VO2max score. On my next page, I have, if I can find it. So these are the consent forms that were signed, and this is a PAR-Q that was carried out by each of the participants before testing, and this is the bibliography everyone cited.